My first night in a combat zone, I was excited. Hear me out before you think I'm crazy, but as a Marine Corps infantryman, it is a rite of passage to get shot at, to see combat. And in fact, if you have been in the military, you'll know for a fact you do get more respect just for being shot at. It sounds silly, but that's the truth. Less than 17% of the Marine Corps is infantry. And out of the entire existence of the military, less than 0.01% of the military actually see combat. So yeah, I was excited to be an 0311 infantryman in a combat zone in Afghanistan, in Nowzad of all places, to where this was the big push for the military. If you do your research, if you do your history, you see that we hadn't had a lot of a presence that meant anything in the area that affected what the Taliban's process was. And the Taliban have something called fighting season. That's when they only fight during certain parts of the year. And yes, I was showing up for the beginning of fighting season. When you first get to Afghanistan after years of training in the Marines, it feels like it's more training. It's almost surreal. You're waiting for the bad guys just to be more Americans dressed up with turbans, pretending to be Iraqis or pretending to be Taliban from Afghanistan. But once you get there and you start realizing, wow, this seems more real and more real. But the moment it gets the most real is when the shooting starts. And it's not like the movies. It doesn't happen the first day. Everyone's experience is different. So I can tell you, I was in Afghanistan in a very safe part for maybe 2 weeks when I first got there. And I was in a place called Camp Leatherneck. If you research that, it's actually a shared base right next to Camp Bastion, which is ran by UK forces. And I was there for 2 weeks, having that surreal feeling that, okay, this is a combat zone, but there's also Pizza Hut. So I'm not sure if this is dangerous or if I'm just in danger of getting fat. But then once the rest of my battalion showed up, 3rd Battalion, 2nd Marines, they got ready to move us out. And they did. They sent us out in the nighttime in the back of these huge trucks that looked like they would transport cattle more than transport Marines. If you don't know what dispersion is the separation of something. All Marines and all service members, when they're in a combat zone, are supposed to have dispersion. And that's because if one of them steps on a landmine or an IED, an improvised explosive device, that means instead of that one service member being wounded or killed, it could kill multiple. So the fact that they put us right in the back of cattle carts and were shipping us off into a more dangerous part of the country was absurd and insane to me. But it's kind of like a competition of everyone who's there is infantry, and we're all trying not to act scared. But imagine you and your friends are going into a fist fight. That's the feeling, only instead of fists, they're gonna be using guns. And I remember in the back of this cattle cart, we were there for hours and hours. And it's because at the very front, of course, they have somebody sweeping for mines and checking for IEDs. But we finally get to our destination. And I remember thinking, this isn't too bad. This doesn't seem too dangerous. But there's no one around to shoot at us. There's almost nothing. If you search Nowzad, Afghanistan, you can see the population compared to the rest of the country is pretty low. It is our version of what Canada would be like, or like rural Tennessee area. I can't say that word. I know Shane's gonna edit something for that. It's pretty desolate out there. I remember thinking, where can the enemy even shoot at us from? We had been there for maybe an hour, and the combat engineers were filling up HESCO barriers. HESCO barriers are similar to like wool sacks that have chicken wire around them so that you can fill them with sand. They're about 6 feet wide, so it keeps you safe. If the shooting starts, you can get behind a HESCO barrier pretty fast. And they're out there filling up HESCO barriers, and I remember I was in full gear, and I was sitting down eating, and I remember thinking, I have to go to the bathroom. Not number one, number two. They have ammo boxes that have holes in them that you have to sit on, and you have to make number two. And of course, my 22-year-old self is sitting on an ammo box in the middle of the sunlight thinking, man, it is hot and this is uncomfortable. and I hear this sound. Boom! That, ladies and gentlemen, is called IDF. IDF stands for indirect fire. It's also known as mortars. The reason why it's called indirect fire is because it can never be exact. It hits an area target rather than a point target. So that means it is going to be within a certain area that's hopefully going to hit as many people as possible. And there I am with my pants down thinking, I'm being shot at with mortars for the first time, and I'm pooping. I can't wait to tell this story on YouTube 10 years from now. I shuffle up and I'm trying to get my pants on, and we're hearing, disperse, move, disperse. And you hear more incoming mortars. We have vehicles. They're called MRAPs. It stands for mine resistant anti-personnel or ambush resistant. Don't quote me on it. You're gonna have to Google it yourself. You know the first thing you have to do if you hear incoming mortars is to take cover. And since we didn't have anything except half-filled HESCO barriers, there I am doing the half pants shuffle. I'm pretty sure something was hanging out of me, trying my best to rush to these MRAP vehicles. I get to the vehicle and I'm trying to get in, and there's already somebody on one side. So I'm rushing to the other side, and the mortar stopped right when I get in. And I remember thinking, that's it. I'm a combat veteran. It is not cool to be shot at, and you're gonna hear me say it time and time again, but you'll always know I'm telling the truth because a lot of the stories I tell on this page are ones that don't make me look cool. If you guys ever have any questions or comments, make sure you drop them down below. Thank you for listening to a story that doesn't make me look that great. I love you guys to pieces. As always, remember, you're one of these.